On this episode of Local Film Talk, we're chatting with the creators of Establishing Shot Raleigh. To be the first to see this episode, subscribe to the Local Film Talk YouTube channel, or you can get the podcast by looking for Local Film Talk on iTunes. Now let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Local Film Talk. This is the show where we talk to local filmmakers about the projects they're working on, hopefully come up with some tips and tricks you can use on your own projects. I'm Bob Walters.
And I'm Conrad Arnold, and we're both from Triangle Film Community. And today, we're talking with Andrew Martin and Paul Kilpatrick about the Establishing Shot series of Raleigh.
Yep. Well, we got to show a couple of these for the very first time at the West End screening a couple weeks ago, and it's a really neat idea. They're basically trying to create these videos to showcase talent, kind of like audition videos, but set up as improv and everything. So it's a really neat idea. It's a great problem they discovered and tried to solve, and they got some really interesting thoughts on that and just generally attaching talent with crews out there. So I think you guys are really going to dig this episode. But before we get to that, we have a couple events coming up.
Okay, so this Thursday, Triangle Filmmaking Community has a meetup. We're going to be at Raleigh Point in Cary, 7 p.m. That is Thursday, the 18th.
And man, we usually get a really great turnout at these ones at Raleigh Point. It's in Cary. It's right off I-40. It's in a strip mall, so the parking lot is freaking huge. They give us a nice big room to do it in. I wonder if we'll get to do it on the patio this time. They got a nice patio.
It's a nice patio, but it might be hot.
Might be hot as hell. Might be raining. Let's stay inside. But yeah, we get a ton of people for this one. I think we get a lot of folks from Durham and a little further out than when we do downtown Raleigh. But I'm always excited to see how many people show up when we do it at Raleigh Point. So this is going to be a good one.
On September 7th at the Cary Theater is going to be a screening, 7 p.m. It's free. It's the Cary Youth Video Project. The town of Cary, more in line with being a place that supports local arts, they have a summer camp that they've been doing for a few years now, where they take kids aged 13 to 17, put them in groups, and they make a short documentary. And thanks to Brian Miller, I can't remember if you've interviewed Brian Miller on this show or not.
Nope. I have no idea who Brian Miller is. This person is a ghost to me.
Oh, geez, man. You should be talking to Brian Miller.
Okay.
Brian Miller, the director of the documentary Woodhouse Divided. He did it for a few years, and this year he couldn't do it, so he referred me, and I ended up getting a gig to be a camp instructor for the documentary thing, the Cary Youth Video Project. So they wisely put me in charge of children, and we made a documentary, and that's going to be one of the 4 that is screening on September 7th. It's a anti-HB2 documentary. It's fairly decent. Actually, I should just say right now, let's back that up. It's really good. I mean, these kids are new to filmmaking. You know, they're using cameras that they're not familiar with. They're using editing systems that they're not familiar with. And within 2 weeks, they came up with an idea. They called around, like all the producing is them. Like I'm just overseeing it, but they're the ones that are calling the organizations, trying to get the interviews, setting the times, putting the footage into Final Cut, finding the structure for it, coming up with the title, finding appropriate music, doing the credits. Like they literally make a short documentary from conception to delivery in those 2 weeks, and it's all them.
That is cool, man. I like that.
I'm just there to keep them from burning the place down, really.
Nice.
But yeah, they did a great job when you take into account, like, you know.
Well, you know, when you're starting from scratch and you're able to pull something together like that, that's really neat.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
And if you're not sold yet, just remember the Cary Theater is a Pokemon gym. Right? It's a Pokestop.
A Pokestop. That is true. That is absolutely true.
I know that was a big selling point for the kids, I'm sure.
There's a lot of Pokestops in downtown Cary. Just saying, like right down the street a little bit. There's one right across the street is one, and I'm just gonna say for you Team Valor people, right there by the Ashworths, just a block away, there's 2 gyms, and we can take them both.
And these kids, despite all this Pokemon going on in their area, managed to knuckle down and make this documentary. That is dedication.
They made the documentary and dominated those gyms.
Very nice. Very nice. Congrats to Team Valor.
Team Valor, that's right.
So next up, what's our next thing?
SparkCon.
SparkCon.
Starting September 15th. And submissions are closed. So if you didn't get your film in, I'm sorry, but you should have a whole lot of time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we got a shitload of submissions, didn't we?
We did. We got quite a few dozen. And
so we are hard at work judging. Actually, we're not hard at work judging. Right now, we're hard at work making a show for you guys. But after that, we're going to be hard at work judging films for you guys.
Right. Judges are working hard to figure out what's going to go in.
Mm-hmm. So that's going to be 4 days of films in downtown Raleigh. We're planning to have a night.
Our kickoff.
Don't want to get too into it yet,
right.
But
our kickoff event will be Thursday night, September 15th.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do that at the Cary Theater.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to.
Cary Theater is very generous to this community. Shout out to them.
The Cary Theater is fantastic. All right.
Okay, so Film Spark, and then what comes after that? We got any other events coming up?
We'll probably have a meetup, like an official TFC meetup, the following week. But Film Spark is going to be the selling point of September.
Yep.
And so, in part also for you guys who want to do SparkCon, but you're like, as much as I love local film, there's all these other arts I have to go enjoy. So I can't just do Film Spark. What else could I possibly be doing during SparkCon? Well, on the 17th, September 17th at Crude Bitters. I can't remember the exact time. I want to say it's 5 o'clock. Might be 7 o'clock. We'll have to double.
Use the internet, kids. It's your friend.
That's right. Google this shit. Swear Spark is happening.
Do you love dirty words? Then you will love Swear Spark.
You better love dirty words, because if you don't, you should not be here. 32 words.
What the fuck are you doing watching us if you don't like swear words?
64 words are being put right now. It's going to be 32 by the event.
Mm-hmm.
And Film Spark is making the videos for the words.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a 32-word bracket. Only one will survive.
Only one will survive.
Like a cage death match.
But there will be awesome videos of each.
And tonight's guest, Paul Kilpatrick, will be there. So that'll be an awesome event. So come for Film Spark, stay for Swear Spark, and maybe one of those other ones too. But yeah, there's a shitload of stuff going on at SparkCon. It is not a dull weekend. So everybody come on out. If you can't make it to one thing, there's a bunch of other stuff. By all means, just have a great time. Downtown Raleigh. But I think that about wraps it up. That's all we got. That's everything in a nice little package.
That's everything. We should start the show.
Yeah. What do you say we go ahead and start the show? Go ahead and talk to our guests, Andrew and Paul.
Wipe it.
Do the wipe thing. Now you got to make a noise so it cuts to you and then do it.
God damn it.
So for those of you who are just joining us, we are here live. Me and my esteemed co-host Conrad Arnold are live with Andrew Martin and Paul Kilpatrick. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
And you guys are the Andrew, the director, Paul, the producer of Establishing Shot Raleigh, which is a series of short videos on Vimeo, I believe, that showcase local acting talent. So it's a little bit of an unusual project. So go ahead and why don't you guys? I won't do it. You guys explain what the project is.
Why don't you go ahead, Andrew? Absolutely. So Paul, Olivia Griego, and myself got together, probably over drinks many times, and we're like, we should do something that can help showcase the a lot of the local talent, a lot of the local acting talent here in the Triangle. Most of the people we worked with in theater, in improv, and in some in corporate video and things like that. And we're like, let's think of a cool way we can do that. And so the idea that popped into our head was like the old Hollywood screen tests, where like the first time James Dean got on camera, or the first time Paul Newman or anybody, like they would just basically do like a fake little set, and they would just film a scene with them just to see how they looked on camera, how they moved. And so we were like, how could we kind of take that idea and modernize it a little bit? And so Establishing Shot Raleigh came out of that idea of, let's get a bunch of people together, let's kind of improvise a bunch of scenes, we'll shoot it from a few different cameras, and we'll kind of see what sort of magic we can create in a short amount of time.
Yeah, and we also we kind of begin to hear this same phrase repeated, I think, amongst our friends who were actors, because all three of us work in production as our day jobs. We had been on sets a lot, but we had heard a lot of theater actors and improvisers and sketch performers, stand-ups. A lot of these people, they're talented performers, say, every time I try to get on camera work, someone asks me to show them something that I've done on camera, and I've never done anything on camera. So how do I get on camera work? And and so we knew that we had friends and we had equipment and we had the experience to just say, okay, let's put a bunch of people we know have talent on camera.
It's like that scene in the beginning of was that Michael J. Fox movie, The Secret of My Success. It's like, we're not going to hire you without experience, but how am I going to get experience if nobody will hire me?
Exactly.
So,
wow, Secret of My Success. I watched that movie too many times.
I dug deep for that one. That's a deep reference.
That is a good Michael J. Fox film. I'm a fan.
That is an old classic.
Yeah.
But no, that's neat. That's an interesting problem that you guys were able to identify. I was actually, until Andrew mentioned that the first time he was telling me about Establishing Shot, the old Hollywood screen tests, I think I might have heard a reference to that once, but I wasn't really familiar about that strategy. But it is a really cool idea. Can you find those kinds of things online? Have people posted?
There's some
like
of them
old
on
screen
YouTube,
tests?
but yeah, it was Hollywood, the old studio system. I mean, they basically, the actors were on salary, and so a lot of them went through like elocution lessons and movement and vocal training and all this kind of stuff. But once the studio deemed that they were ready for a film, they would usually sort of pair them up with somebody else, or they would just kind of bring them in front of the camera just to see if the camera liked them, how the best way to light them, what kind of wardrobe they looked good in. And so we just thought that was kind of a cool idea as a way to sort of get people ready for their next step in film.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing you can maybe think of as a comparison is SNL does those screen test videos every now and then.
The Star Wars audition type things.
And those are kind of the descendant of the screen tests. That might be the thing people are most aware of that is similar to what we're talking about.
I've heard stories about the Saturday Night Live editions. They're kind of legendary. It's funny.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there. But yeah, I know there's like I mentioned, there's a YouTube of like James Dean and Paul Newman just like laughing. There's no sound attached to it. It's just like them just cracking each other up in front of the camera for like the first time. And you see like
these two will be stars.
Yeah, you see like The Godfather. You see all the people that auditioned for that. De Niro for the first movie, and like even Robert Redford and people that auditioned. Like you see like these old film clips because they shot all that stuff on 35 millimeter. These screen tests. So yeah, a lot of them just haven't been digitized and brought back out into YouTube yet.
Well, and I imagine a lot of that stuff is probably lost because at the time it wasn't deemed worth.
It probably wasn't backed up because why would they need it again?
Right.
There might also be some legal gray area about releasing that to the public.
Yeah, that's quite possible. But we also knew it wasn't enough just to have somebody walk in and smile. So then we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to script a bunch of scenes? And so I remember our process was like, we were going to see if the actors either wanted to bring material, but that was going to get kind of dicey. So then ultimately, with Paul's improv background, we were like, well, let's create like 100 or so like random improv scenarios that we could just kind of throw out at people. And we were just kind of on the fly mixing and matching, 2 to 3 to 4 teams, and then we'd roll for 10 minutes.
10 to 15 minutes.
And then just kind of something would materialize, and then at some point along the way you could kind of tell it was fizzling out, or we had reached like some sort of mild conclusion, and I just call cut. And then I remember on the very first take, on the very first one, I was like, I have the choice to do it again which means it's probably not going to be as good on take 2, which means I'm going to have to do a take 3. Or I just say every one of them is take 1 only, and we just move on. And so that's what I ultimately decided, was just we do 1 take on that idea, we move on to the next one, and we just never go back and try a second take, because we would have been there all day trying to perfect this random improv scene.
Well, I think one of the things we tried to craft, even before the idea of putting people on camera, is we wanted the experience to reflect something about being on set for the actors. And so theater actors don't know what a set's going to be like. They've never been on one, and they don't know what their job is, really. So we had them sign in like you do on real sets, meet someone who's acting as a production coordinator. We had them go talk to someone in makeup and wardrobe, hang up their wardrobe on a rack somewhere, go through makeup, have someone come over, look at their makeup, give an approval. Sometimes we said, can you give this person bangs? Can you make their makeup a little less, a little more, just so they would have that experience. We gave them a little bit of paperwork to deal with, and then a lot of them had to wait until it was their turn to be in a scene, and then they maybe be in a scene and then have to wait another hour to be in another scene, which is very kind of common if you're on set. But if you're a theater actor, you show up and you're going to do your 4 scenes or whatever, or if you're an improv actor, you're going to be on the back wall and come in and you're going to do your form. So we did a lot of that. And we also had 4 cameras running with 4 cameramen. We had an audio man. They were all getting lav mics put on, taken off. Someone was touching you, someone was coming up and adjusting your hair. All the kind of things that, if you've been on set, you kind of come to take for granted, but performers who have not been on camera wouldn't really have gotten exposed to.
Nice.
Right, and that's probably going to be a little off-putting if you've never done that kind of thing before, and suddenly you're on a set and somebody comes over and is like, I need, excuse me, ma'am, I need to stick my hand up the front of your shirt to run this mic up. You can be like, what?
Yeah.
So.
And so I think for us it was nice to at least be a semi-safe space where we had created kind of the illusion of some anonymity and distance, but really everyone was there to have fun and to be a little more relaxed, and because it was about creating an experience, not about you have to behave a certain way, and that was important to us.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah, and the other thing, obviously, for a lot of theater actors, they get a lot of time to prepare and rehearse and work stuff out, and a lot of this was like, okay, here's what you're doing. You're going to be stealing Matchbox cars, and this person is your getaway driver. And they had a minute to work that out and then just go,
So these were the topics you gave them. You had kind of brainstormed these topic ideas ahead of time, and so you just threw them at them right before you're getting ready to shoot. It's like, all right, and this. Think about it for a second and go.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, like you and your wife are being this person to facilitate a cuddle puddle. Or you're playing D&D and one of you is disruptive, or you're planning a heist, or you're a record executive trying to, sign or not sign talent, or just very odd, and some of them kind of dumb.
Yeah, a lot of them were dumb ideas that we just kind of were like, okay, that's what we just picked, let's do it.
And I think that's actually super accurate, because I know, I've been on commercials a lot of times where people, people who are actors who are talented and have experience and resumes as long as your arm come in and, you have to eat a French fry in a way that's alluring and then pretend to burp. Like, that's work for an actor, and it's good work a lot of the time. Like, so you have to be ready to be kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you hear, it's obviously mostly just the very top tier actors who can afford to be choosy, or sometimes you hear people talking about, working with a friend on an indie project. But for the most part, as a working actor, and in a lot of ways as a a working crew member, you got to take a job, and you don't always get to say, well, I'm not really passionate about this idea. It's more about, well, I am passionate about paying rent this month.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's eat that sexy French fry.
Yeah, that's right.
Or throw a chicken finger like a dart, or or be really excited about some soap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just sell it. Whatever you're doing, sell it with full commitment.
And the truth is, too, for any of these actors who are wanting to pursue more on-screen work, which I know a number of them are, they're going to go from being probably in good roles in local theater, leading roles, strong supporting roles, to needing to get their film credits, which is going to mean doing industrials, corporate video, goofy commercials, and as they have those on their resume, then they'll get the opportunity to do more, more substantial roles.
You reach the top of one ladder, and then you make the jump, and you got to start at the bottom of the next one.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
But I mean, I think one of the things that we benefited from is that we know there's a lot of talent in the Triangle, and so we said, okay, who are the people who aren't getting in shorts, who aren't getting in local indies, who aren't just doing this stuff, and we know they have the talent already.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably reached out to about 250 actors, and we got 50 of them were available when we were filming. And so there's a lot of other people that are untapped as well that we really wanted to see and just weren't able to make it work with their schedules.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, and this can go for you too, Conrad, because you've been doing this stuff for a while as well. Before something like Establishing Shot, existed, and there are these ways to go out and find people. What was when you guys are doing productions? What is normally your go-to strategy for finding people? Do you just go with people you know, or do you have a certain area you look for new talent? Let's start with Conrad, since you haven't talked much yet.
I usually just throw people in the back of a van, and that works.
You roll up with a van that says free candy, and people pile in.
It works surprisingly well. No, man. The first few times moving back here years ago, I did casting things. We held auditions, but over time, I just worked with people who were pretty solid, and I hate to say it, I kind of just stuck with people I knew who could do the job.
Well, that's something that I found with the Triangle filmmaking community as a Facebook group and as an organization, is that it gives you a way to network with people. And a lot of times I see people who will post in this group or that group and say, "Hey, I'm doing this project. I need this crew member or this actor. Is anybody available?" And I think to myself, well, because I'm in this group and I go to these meetups and I go to these screenings and I actually get to talk to people, when something comes up, I already have a pool of people to pull from. I'm like, all right, I know this guy is a cinematographer, I know this guy's an audio person, and I know these 5 actors who will be perfect for it.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I'm against working with new people. Is when I see somebody who's been in someone else's film and I see how they are, I'm like, hey, I want to work with that person at some point. Like, I never worked with Catherine Trail. I would love to work with Catherine Trail because she just comes across so great on film, especially when we saw her in Civil last year.
Right.
So for me, it just makes my life easier when it comes to casting, because that's one of the hardest parts. So the fact that Andrew and Paul, you guys are doing this and you're getting these new faces out there, that's great. I can see how they are on screen. I can see how they come across, their delivery and everything. And
right, it's like a huge data dump of what you were talking about. Rather than having to see short films here and there, you guys have done, what was it, like 30-something of these shorts that we can all immediately look at and go, oh shit, here's 50 new people.
Yeah, I think there's about 45 to 50 scenes that are shot. I think there's 11 that are up there right now. So we're in various stages of post on the other ones. But
it ended up being a lot of scenes. But I think what you're saying is exactly what we were thinking, which is you can start to see someone, you can add them to your community. Because I think the best thing about local film, excuse me, is that it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I really want to work with so and so. And they're friends with this person I know. Let me just call them up and see if they can do a day on my short or a couple days on my film. And then what I found of being involved with like improv at DSI and at Moonlight, and also doing theater at places like Little Green Pig and Burning Coal and Bear and places like that, was that those communities were the exact same way. They were like, oh, I need someone to be in this adaptation, and I really want to work with that person in Durham. Who do I know who knows them? Let me call that person and get them over to be in our play. But a lot of those people, even though they had both the ability and the interest in doing film, weren't really crossing over very much, with few noticeable exceptions. And so, like, DSI, which is, a 15 or 14-year-old improv theater in Chapel Hill, at any given time has about 100 people who are getting up on stage once, twice, 4 or 5 times a month in front of a crowd, improvising, have really good comedic timing, have good improv skills, and a lot of them would be interested in being on film. Little Green Pig does a lot of theater and probably has about 50 people they work with regularly, many of whom don't do much on film, but all have those chops, can do really good drama, can do really good comedy, are really collaborative performers. We even had a gouge wrestler who was in some couple of videos. It was like,
wow.
he's a fun guy, good performer. We're like, well, that's a different type of performance. Let's see what happens when you put someone who comes from that kind of athletic, kind of bombast performance style and put him in our videos, because we all know The Rock is doing great. We also asked a couple musicians, a couple puppeteers.
Now, were these people that you knew and you kind of had an idea that they had some acting chops, or were you just kind of taking a kitchen sink approach and saying, yeah, let's get some of these guys in here and just see what happens?
No, it was a little more vetted than that. I mean, because Paul works with a lot of these different theater groups, and I've just met people over the years. We kind of went to sort of our people in the know first, and we're like, who would you recommend we talk to about this? We didn't want to just post something broad, because everybody that wants to get into acting isn't necessarily on the same level as somebody that's been doing it for a long time. And so we wanted to sort of start with people that are already at a pretty good place in their game. They just hadn't had a chance to kind of break out. And so yeah, Little Green Pig and DSI were two of our kind of main places we started, because they just have really good people. And then yeah, the Raleigh theater community of Burning Coal and Bear and Urban Garden and I don't know. The list goes on.
And I think what we did was we thought of names of people we thought, oh, that would be interesting to see, and then we thought of people who we knew had an eye, had directed theater, had produced theater, who could we could say, hey, this is our goal. A lot of times if you put an open casting call out there, you're going to see the same people every time. What we'd like to do is, can you give us a name of some people that you would say would value this experience or get something out of it, and then we can approach them in a slightly more specific way, so we can say, hey, this is going to be something different from you showing up, at a house and shooting for 5 hours or whatever. This is going to be a slightly more involved experience, and even though it might take us a while, you're going to get something a little different out of this. So we had a full grip truck, and we had lights set up, and we had a full dolly on rails, and we had a Dana dolly set up, and just seeing the gear is a little bit different than just walking in and seeing something like a 5D. But that was kind of how we started looking for those people.
I remember one of your films gets a little meta because there's a camera in the back showing all of the all the
equipment.
Yeah. That was the one that you were in, Paul.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things we did is that we have, I have a bunch of friends who are PAs, and a lot of them want to be DPs or camera assists or ACs. And so one of the things that was nice was we got 4 cameras. Who wants to operate a camera? And if there's 4 cameras, it's okay if you go out of focus or you focus in the wrong spot, because hopefully someone will have coverage on one of the other 3.
Yeah,
which wasn't
always the case. We can call it a stylistic choice too.
Yeah.
Well,
sure.
we kind of we'll go with that. It was a stylistic choice, but yeah, it was a chance to let some people operate cameras that don't get to do it all the time, and everybody was kind of changing out roles throughout the day. Audio was our one. We have to have really good audio, so we had super pro audio people on this. Right. But yeah, the showing the camera, I sort of wanted the artifice to be known, at least up front, and then maybe as you start watching more of them, it's less obvious, or you start to lose yourself a little more in the scenes. But yeah, I like the idea of the camera sort of flying in front of the other one. That was the first take, and that camera was just clearly in the wrong place because the dolly came flying into the shot, and so we adjusted after that, so it didn't happen as often. But yeah, that was. I don't mind the meta every once in a while. I sort of enjoy it.
So what I'm hearing is bold artistic decision.
I'm down with that.
Or bold autistic decision. That's your word.
We could have gone with autism as well. But yeah, I like taking sort of creative risks, and this was a creative risk just to do this. We didn't really have a really solid plan of what it was going to be. We just were like, hey, we're going to get 20 people together and for two days and just do this, you know?
And we ended up getting up twice that many people. And
yeah, I mean, our crew was at least 20 people, and then actors, yeah, we had like 50 show up in 2 days.
Which is great.
So it was very successful, just that people wanted to do it. And of course, everybody that didn't make it was like, when are you going to do the next one? And we're like, that was really hard. We'll get back to you on that.
And I'm still not sure if we know 100% what we did.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, people will have to tell us what this is beyond just an acting reel for people. We don't know what they are quite yet.
Well, it's interesting because we debuted a couple of them, like 3 or 4 of them, at the West End Summer Film Series a couple weeks ago, and like you said, they're kind of you're still kind of trying to figure out the voice and figure out what they are. And it's not apparent on first viewing. You know, there's not necessarily a coherent narrative. There's not necessarily a beginning or an end. It's just kind of a snapshot of a scene. And it was interesting to see how an audience reacted to it and how each audience member interpreted it for themselves. You were there, Andrew. What did you think of the audience reaction? And did anybody come up to you and share their thoughts or ask questions about it?
Yeah, people talked to me afterwards, and they were intrigued. They thought they were sort of, you know, just they wanted to know more. And I think if anything, that's what these are to me. Like, as I've been editing a lot of them, I'm like, they're almost like teasers for like an episode of television that you don't really know what that show is about, but maybe you want to watch that show. And I've kind of been thinking about it like, each of these people could be on screen doing this kind of work regularly, and would you watch these people in a spy thriller? Would you watch these people in a relationship comedy? Would you watch these people in a weird avant-garde, you know, conversation? Like, and so I think that's what it is to me in a lot of respects. Is just like, this is a teaser for what's possible, and I think that's why we settled on the name Establishing Shot. Was like, we just want to start something. You know, this is the beginning of something that we hope will grow. Maybe not the brand itself, but just this community, this city will just grow into a place where lots of things are being made, and these are the type of people making them.
Right. Have you gotten any feedback, or have any of the people involved gotten any feedback saying, hey, I saw you in that thing, and, you know, I didn't even know you were around, but I would love to work with you?
I think so. I mean, it's right now we've had a very sort of cold open for this, or like just a quiet launch, and so like West End was our first time that anybody had really seen these. The website is live, but we haven't been pushing it out yet. We're still populating.
So there is a website beyond the Vimeo channel.
Yes, the website to plug that is estraleigh.com, and we're filling it with more content. We're going to have actor bios and photos once we are able to collect all that stuff, and little synopsis of each scene. Definitely want to highlight all the people that donated their time and contributed to this happening. And then as we do it, we'll be sort of tweeting these out and posting them on Facebook with the hope that we can kind of build a little momentum and drive people to the site, and then give the actors the high-res versions to start cutting into their reels.
Right.
Or just the first thing for a reel. Like, now you have your starting block.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Show up on day 2, there will be more.
That's right.
I really like the idea. I was completely unaware of this, but and not to backtrack too much, but I love that idea you were talking about, how not only were you bringing new people in front of the camera, but also behind the camera. I mean, were you thinking that ahead of time? Like, hey, we're also going to help people who otherwise wouldn't be able to, get experience as a camera person on a paid production, because, when you have a client, you don't want to have like somebody learning on the job. But did you go into it saying, hey, maybe we'll also, help some people behind the scenes try out new things and build up their reels in a new area, or was that just kind of something you discovered on the day of?
No, that was definitely something we were thinking of almost from the beginning. I mean, one of the things that I hear most frequently from my friends on set is they want to shoot stuff. And so we got, I think everyone that was involved that wanted to shoot was on both a mobile camera and a stationary camera for at least a while. And then a bunch of people expressed interest in editing scenes as well.
Yep.
And so people who haven't had a chance to edit anything now have edited a couple of scenes, and I think some of them really liked it, some of them really didn't. People who wanted to edit and didn't have time have not. And that's kind of been one of the challenges, is that with over 40 scenes, finding that, especially finding it in a format that's so open, finding a scene has been challenging a lot of times. But and then we also had people who, like our friend Katie, who was at the time working a lot more professionally, but still kind of wanting to do more stuff. She's a makeup artist who's very talented. It gave her a chance to kind of do some more stuff. Her husband was very helpful. So yeah, that was something that we were thinking about the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like most of our crews since then, because this has been a year since we did these, most of them have been working a lot more regularly. And some of them already were. We had a mixed bag. We had some really experienced people, and I think really pro talent in our community are busy people, and a lot of them have families, and it's hard for them to always take the free gig. But one thing that we were able to do was get a lot of these people to show up just for our pre-light day, and so we had like really top-notch people come in and just light the set and like donate their cameras and do all this stuff just to kind of make it possible to do it. And then on the filming days, we had some people that were experienced but maybe hadn't been doing it as long in some of the roles, and then some people that were just pros. It was just kind of friends and colleagues that we just extended the invitation, and they were excited to be there.
Okay. I do want to give you a chance to plug if you're interested, because I know you had mentioned this to me at West End. You said there's like 40 scenes, and you still have a lot more to edit. Are you guys, as of mid-August 2016, are you guys still looking for editors?
Absolutely. We need people to edit many scenes. Everything was done.
Well, I mean, we would like people to edit many scenes. I mean, I think one of the things that we're excited about is seeing what people can do with these scenes. I mean, because they're pretty all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some bold choices. There's some interesting things. But yeah, we would definitely be interested in people editing them. I think that's one of the things that we're excited about, seeing what people do with it.
Yeah.
If they want to.
And if they are interested, how would they get up with you?
There is a contact on the estraleigh.com website, but they can also reach out to me directly. I would just say andrew@ardenm.com. You can email me, and I can hook you up. We did everything's set up in Adobe Premiere, so all the scenes are synced and multicammed, and everything's very organized. And so I just hand over individual scenes to each person, and then they can just do a first pass edit on that, and then we collaborate on kind of how to finish it after that.
That's cool. So people who want to take a crack at editing can hit you up and maybe get a little experience there. Establishing Shot Raleigh, the gift that keeps on giving to the community.
That's kind of what we hope. And I mean, as we're looking for places to screen them now, I think one of the things that's going to be fun is seeing which of the videos different places want to show people. Because now, like I said, we have 11 ready, and we're looking at other places, other people that might want to screen them. And I think everyone that comes looking at the videos is seeing different things and different people, and they're saying, oh, well, this type of performer might appeal to the people that come and watch stuff with us, or this type of scene might be interesting. And there really is stuff that's very comedic, very serious. There's a couple things that are scripted. So it's a pretty broad range of videos.
Yeah.
I was curious, you were talking about how free form the scenes are and everything, and how you can discover different things, so much different stuff in the edit. Have you guys had any inclination to like give the same scene to two different people and see what they come up with? Or is there just too much work right now you don't have time to waste?
It might be too much work that we don't have time. It would be fun if we had that luxury. I mean, yeah, it would be interesting because like we said, there's a lot of material that's not making it, but it would be funny to see what somebody else sort of pulls if two people were to work on the same scene.
Yeah. Because I imagine some of them, there are probably a couple in there that, depending on how you look at it, it might be dramatic, it might be funny, it might be sad.
There's definitely some of that in there.
And the music makes a big impact. Obviously, I've been finding a lot of sort of weird, darker music for a lot of these because I think it just gives it another edge. But they don't. If you picked a different score, it would feel like a different thing. So, right. Yeah.
That's very cool.
And I'll plug freemusicarchive.com is where we've been getting all the Creative Commons music for this, and there's like thousands of amazing tracks and musicians on there posting stuff. So it's one of many Creative Commons sites, but to keep it simple, I just went with one. So they've been a great resource.
Right. No, it's good. It's always good to hear of another place. Most of us depend on our good buddy Kevin MacLeod, so it's nice to know a couple other people, a couple other places out there we can go and find music.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to keep everything local, but music is a hard thing to kind of do for a local person, so I wanted to have lots of options. Yeah, let's see. Other big plugs. Nicole NC Jones did our logo and our website. She's been amazing.
Nation Catering provided us with food, which was fantastic.
What was the location you guys used?
We used Christ the King, which is a church which is right across from Citrix. They let us use their space for the day, which was fantastic.
Oh, very cool.
What else?
I mean, we had cameras from Steady Film and 521 Studies and Zoning Media and Decon Films and Drawbridge Media.
And gear from a bunch of those places as well.
Gear from Small HD brought monitors. Yeah, I mean, we had just a great, wonderful group of crew people that I'm afraid if I start naming them, I'll miss somebody. Yeah. But they're all every episode, every scene has credits, so you can see who's there, and the website has credits on everybody.
It's the downside to a big shoot is that you got too many damn names to remember.
I know, and you know, the joke of this whole project for us this whole time has been let's do something really quick and simple. Because everything we try to do is just big and complicated. Let's do something quick and simple. And this was the quick and simple thing, you know, that still took 20 to 70 people and, 14 months and lots of late nights and extra time trying to figure out how to do this. So even the quick and simple things are not quick and simple when it comes to filmmaking.
Well, we're going to top you. Conrad and I got to film 64 videos next weekend.
Woo!
Yeah.
That sounds.
Because we hate ourselves, we're masochistic.
Do it.
Is this for fun or for work?
SparkCon.
Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We are doing the videos for Spark.
Nice. Which Paul performs in.
I'm a Swear Sparker. I've been in it every year so far.
Last year, I think he was a luchador Swear Spark.
Yeah, I wore a tuxedo and a Mexican wrestling mask.
Yeah, Conrad, I don't know how much you're free to say, but since you're the one spearheading the thing, did you want to talk a little bit about that, just to kind of wet people's whistles?
It's dirty words on video. It's going to be awesome.
That sounds great.
They do a bracket of like a tournament bracket of 32 dirty words,
64,
and people get to vote. Well, there's 32 in the bracket. They start out with 64, and people have to vote on the 32 that will be in the bracket, and they asked us if we do the videos, and we're like, yeah, we can do 32 videos, just send us the list. And they're like, people haven't finished voting yet. They won't finish voting until the week before SparkCon.
Yeah.
Like, well, we can't wait that long to do the videos, so fuck it, we'll just do 64 videos.
Yeah, so to be safe, we're doing all 64.
It's a great part of SparkCon. It's run by Craig Rudowicz, who runs Crude Bitters, and he sponsors it every year. And I mean, the first year we did it, we were in the back of London Bridge with like 25 people, and I think we probably had about 160 people last year. So the audience has grown. I'm glad you guys are involved. I'm super excited to see what you guys do.
Fingers crossed. I think it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. Olivia, who is our other producer.
Yeah, our other producer who acted in a lot of the scenes couldn't be here tonight. She's involved in the Women's Theater Festival, which is the first ever Raleigh all women directed, all written, mostly starring all women, month-long theater festival that's going on through the end of August. So that's womenstheaterfestival.com. That's another opportunity to go see talent you haven't maybe seen before. You know, I think our theater community is the first place I look for new talent, because these are people that are trained and have been practicing, you know, and the challenge for film is obviously kind of converting them to that sort of format. But I think starting with somebody that already knows how to act is a lot easier than taking somebody that's never acted before and say, be amazing in my movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to do.
And they know how to memorize lines.
They know how to memorize lines. You can do longer takes, which is always fun. And you just get to meet and see kind of cool people, and they bring ideas to the table, which is always kind of fun, too. So go check that one out.
I was going to say, a friend of mine is directing the how and the why for that festival. So.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yes, everybody should definitely check that festival out. It looks like it's going to be really.
It's a really cool thing. I hope it takes off and becomes an annual thing that just gets bigger and bigger here.
Right. Well, we've gone for quite a while. I think we're coming up on 45 minutes. I told you guys we weren't going to have any trouble getting material. Conrad, did you have any last questions?
I can't think of anything other than, just keep up the work, guys, because it's cool. I like to see the rest of these.
Well, thank you for being interested. And like we said at the beginning, it's EST Raleigh is the website. Mm-hmm. ESTRaleigh.com. That's short for establishing, obviously. And so I think there's 11 up there now. We're working on getting headshots and bios for all the actors. You can see everyone who worked on it. Anything you like is because of a community of people that we just get to talk about.
Mm-hmm. We're lucky to get to play in this playground.
Yeah,
that's right.
A lot of people gave their time and energy to make this happen, so we're really thankful for them.
Right. And where can people find more of your work beyond Establishing Shot?
I have a Vimeo page with films that I've done and corporate videos I've done. That's, Drew Maker is my Vimeo handle. But, you can find Harbinger up there and Spoked and several other films and commercials. And then Paul's and Son of Clowns, which is Evan Kidd's movie that's making the festival rounds now, and I think is going to be on Amazon soon, and
streaming somewhere, I think, in September.
So that film's doing really well out there in the world.
And that was all local people shot in Raleigh, which was pretty fun. Right. And then I perform at Moonlight, and then I act through Talent One whenever I get cast and stuff, and do theater projects around. As does Olivia Griego, who's our other producer. She acts in things that are great because she's great. Yeah.
Right. Well, awesome. It's really cool to talk to you guys about this, and I think it's an awesome project. And, like Conrad said, I can't wait to see more of what you've already shot and, what you shoot in the future. So I hope it goes well for you. And, I hope all the people involved, both in front of and behind the camera, are able to get a little more work off of this.
Well, thank you.
Excellent. Well, Bob, Conrad, thank you guys for hosting a show like this and kind of continuing to let people know about what's going on in our community. That's really important.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And, thank you to everybody for watching. This is another episode of Local Film Talk. Thank you to my co-host, Conrad Arnold, for joining in. He's my silent Bob. He talks twice an episode. But, of course, you can...
say something.
Yeah. Absolutely. But you can subscribe to watch these episodes on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe there. That's Local Film Talk on YouTube. Look for Local Film Talk on iTunes if you want to listen to the podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Local Film Talk. I was lucky enough to snag that. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or want to, contact some of these guys through us, feel free to hit us up with an email at localfilmtalk@gmail.com. I was in Twitter mode. I tried to put the ad at the beginning. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Andrew, and shit, I just blanked too. I tried to say Patrick. It's Kilpatrick.
I get Patrick. I
tried to say Patrick.
It's fine.
I settled on the P. I focused on the wrong P.
Patrick and Phil is my real name.
There we go. Thank you guys both for coming on the show, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime soon. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you around.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.